As my dispatch of the 14th instant to the Secretary of the Admiralty had been very short and written in great haste, being desirous that His Majesty's ministers should be made acquainted with the important arrangements agreed upon as early as possible, I considered it right to make a more detailed report to the Commander-in-Chief, and therefore wrote a dispatch to Lord Keith, of which the following extracts, intending to send it by the officer who should announce to him the Bellerophon's arrival in Torbay. Having received directions from Sir Henry Hotham to forward the accompanying dispatch to your lordship by an officer, I availed myself of the opportunity to explain the circumstances under which I was placed when induced to receive Napoleon Bonaparte into the ship I command, after the first communication was made to me by Count Bertrand, a copy of which, with my answer, has been forwarded to your lordship by Sir Henry Hotham, that Bonaparte was at the Isle d'Aix and actually embarked on board the frigate for the purpose of proceeding to the United States of America. My duty became peculiar, harassing, and anxious, owing to the numerous reports that were daily brought from all quarters of its intention to escape in vessels of various descriptions, and from different situations on the coast, of which the limited means I possessed, together with the length of time requisite to communicate with Sir Henry Hotham at Quiberon Bay, rendered the success at least possible and even probable. Thus situated, the enemy having 2 frigates and a brig, while the force under my command consisted of the Bellerophon and Slaney, having detached 2 Myrmidon, the reinforce of the Daphne off the Mamison passage, where the force was considerably superior to her, and whence one of the reports stated Bonaparte meant to sail. Another flag of truce was sent out for the ostensible reason of inquiring whether I had received an answer to the former, but as soon as I ascertained the real one to be a proposal from Bonaparte to embark for England in this ship, taking into consideration all the circumstances of the probability of the escape being effected if the trial was made either in the frigates or clandestinely in a small vessel, as had this ship been disabled in action, there was no other with me that could produce any effect on a frigate. And from the experience I have in blockading the ports of the bay, knowing the impossibility of preventing small vessels from getting to sea, and looking upon it as of the greatest importance to get possession of the person of Bonaparte, I was induced without hesitation to accede to the proposal as far as taking him on board and proceeding with him to England, but at the same time stating the most clear and positive terms that I had no authority to make any sort of stipulation as to the reception he was to meet with. I am happy to say that the measures I have adopted have met with the approbation of Sir Henry Hotham, and will, I trust and hope, receive that of your lordship as well as that of His Majesty's government. On the 29th, a conversation took place between Madame Bertrand and myself about Bonaparte's voyage to Elba. She asked me if I was acquainted with Captain Usher. On my answering in the negative, she said, "The Emperor is very fond of him. He gave him his portrait set with diamonds and has another which he intends for you." I replied, "I hope not, as I cannot accept of it. Captain Usher's situation and mine were very different, and what might be proper in him would not be so in me." She rejoined, "If you do not accept it, you will offend him very much." "If that is the case," I said, "I shall be obliged to you to take steps to prevent its being offered, as I wish to save him the mortification and myself the pain of a refusal. And I feel it absolutely impossible, situated as I am, to take a present from him. In receiving him on board, I had no direct authority from my government, and I have yet to learn whether my conduct will be approved of. Besides, were I to receive a present of such value, it might possibly be said that I was actuated by selfish motives, whereas all the measures I have taken were dictated solely by the desire of serving my country to the best of my judgment. If, therefore, I am to receive any reward, it must come from that quarter." On the 20th of July, early in the morning, we spoke the Swiftsure on her way from England to reinforce me in the blockade of Rochefort. The astonishment of Captain Webley cannot scarcely be conceived when, on his entering the ship, I said, "Well, I've got him." "Got him? Got whom?" "Why, Bonaparte, the man that has been keeping all Europe in a ferment these last 20 years. "Is it possible?" said he. "Well, you were a lucky fellow." We had some further conversation, but Captain Webley was not introduced to Bonaparte, who had not then left his cabin, and as the Swiftsure was going to the southward, and I was desirous of getting to England as quickly as possible, we soon parted company.